Okay, let's start. Hi, everyone. Welcome. We are so happy to have you here today. I'm Sarah, the co-founder of Akadion. Akadion is a platform by students for students. It supports students and postdocs in their academic and professional journeys. Our mission is to empower the global academic community by giving fair access to knowledge, support, and real opportunities. Our goal is to create a space where students and postdocs can connect together and learn together to explore opportunities beyond traditional paths. And we believe that every scholar can succeed no matter their background or resources. And to support them, we create this community and we run webinars, workshops, and mentorship programs. So if you'd like to join our community or become a mentor for other students, please scan the QR code that you can see on the screen. And right now, we are organizing a mentorship program for students applying to graduate studies in Canada. It's online and it's from July to September, and you can find more information about this on the same QR code. So for all the information, just please scan the QR code. Now, without any further ado, let's begin. Today's speaker is Amirparsa Ghasemi. Amirparsa, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much. As Sarah mentioned, we're so glad to be here. It's actually Sarah's birthday today. Um, Happy birthday to her. I still have a few of my assignments left I haven't submitted. This is how much effort we put in these webinars, and I hope you make something out of it. Let us know if the screen is not being shared. I'm going to start moving from this slide to another slide. If you had any problems hearing us, just let me or Sarah know. Okay, our topic today is getting into dental school. I just want to mention a very important point that I'm talking about getting into dental school in Canada and US. Most of my content will overlap. It would be similar among Canada and US. I'm going to mention where are the differences among these two countries when you want to apply to dental school, but most should be similar. As mentioned, my name is Amirparsa. I think I can say I have a bachelor's in biology. I'm gonna graduate in 2 days from University of Maryland in College Park. I'm an incoming student at University of Maryland School of Dentistry, class of 2030. Good, it's easy to remember. And I applied in 2025-2026 cycle, and I'll be starting dental school in fall 2026. I was former, let me tell you this. The fun fact about the school I'm going to attend is this is the first dental school in the world. University of Maryland, Baltimore is actually the first dental college in the world. I was also former NIH and NIDCR research intern. That was probably my most significant part of application besides my stats. And I think that's it. Just if you want to know a profile about me, I got 24 on the AT at almost about 3.9 GPA. I applied to around 13 schools, all in the US. I got 5 interviews, 3 acceptances. I didn't actually attend one of my interviews because I was so excited that I got accepted at Maryland. And I just decided that Maryland is my school and the school I wanted to go. Feel free to ask me why if you wanted to. I'll definitely provide my justification for it. So the weird thing about getting into dental school in Canada and US is it's different from any other country in anywhere else. Um, in any other country, when you graduate from your high school, based on your stats, based on whatever exam there is, you just apply to dental school. In US and Canada and maybe Australia for some schools, you need to have a bachelor's. So I'm going to clarify this part for the first and last time, because when I was applying to dental school, this was pretty confusing to me that, okay, why do we have to get bachelor's? Then what are the prereq courses? then why do some people say you can get any bachelor's? How does that make sense? I'm going to clarify this for the first and last time. So there are two things you need to have while you apply to dental school, two major things. One is you need to have a bachelor's. Second, you need to have some courses that you took while you were getting your bachelor's. So the reason why most people get a biology bachelor's is they already have those courses within that bachelor's, but you're free to have a engineering, business, any computer science major degree. So you can have any degree you want, but you have to take certain courses such as biology, chemistry. I'm going to explain what are those courses. So that's the distinction. You can have a bachelor's with some courses that each dental school specifically ask you to take. There are a few exceptions where you can do it within 3 years, so you don't need to get a degree, but usually you need to have a bachelor's in order to apply to dental school, in order to like admit to dental school, because you will start applying the year before, so while you're at the school. Other major requirements is a shadowing hours. You need to shadow a dentist for a couple 100 hours probably. You need to have letters of recommendation. You need to have some extracurricular activities. You need to have some research. It's optional, but it makes you definitely competitive. The famous part, oh, I forgot to use my laser. Okay. The famous part, DAT exam. Um, and then you're ready to submit your application and for sure the personal statement within the application and interviews, and then um, you're good to start dentistry. Um, let's start with the prereqs. Prereqs are the courses which each dental school, particular to themselves, ask you to take. So it's not common course. There are some common courses, but each school have their own requirements. So you need to go and research every school you want to apply to make sure what courses they want you to take while you're doing your bachelor's. So again, you still can do any bachelor's, but you have to take those courses as part of your bachelor's. And probably if you're doing engineering, business, or any other major besides biology, you probably need to add another year to your undergrad, because they're not gonna force you to take biology, general chemistry, organic chemistry, physics, biochemistry as part of your business major. So those are the additional courses you need to take. So again, research the schools you want to apply, so you make sure you are taking those prereqs. You don't want to realize that some school you wanted to go required a particular course, which then you realize right when you want to apply, because that's too late. You're about to graduate, and then you realize, okay, that one particular school I wanted to apply required sociology. And for fun fact, some schools have some odd prereqs. Michigan is one of the greatest dental school in the world, probably. They require sociology as part of their prereq. And if you don't have that prereq, you can't apply there. So it's very important to dig in and realize what are those prereqs you have to take. For Canadian applicants, this doesn't really apply. College system in US is different. In Canada, college credits probably wouldn't help you for our undergrad. People usually either go to college or a four-year university. In US, system is slightly different. We have community college and community college credits, which is a pretty common pathway where you transfer from a two-year school to a four-year school. Just keep in mind there are few dental schools where they don't accept those credits. Not most of them, but like Tufts or Boston or some schools where they don't accept community college credits. But besides that, if you have community college credits, that's totally fine. I had some. You transfer to a four-year school and then you graduate from that four-year school, and it's definitely fine to have some credits from community college. It's preferred that those credits are taken during the fall and spring semester. Again, in US, we call it the winter semester. You guys call it in Canada spring. So that's the distinction. And preferably in person, not online. Most of the courses prereqs I mentioned, like chemistries, physics, biochemistries, have to be taken before you apply. So if you want to get an interview, you have to be taking most of those courses before you apply. Maybe one or two can be in progress. And most of those credits should be taken in either US or Canada. This is the important part for international students. So if you have a bachelor from a different country, not US or Canada, you are good for the first requirement. But the second requirement, which was the prereqs, those have to be taken in US or Canada. So you have to retake them if you even took all of those prereqs. But your bachelor's is good. You don't have to get another bachelor. So if you transferred some of your credits from any other country, you have to make sure those prereqs should be taken again in US or Canada. So shadowing is the fun part. So you can start shadowing even as your freshman year. Start by contacting a family friend or any dentist you need to, around, and just ask them you want to shadow. It's pretty common. They definitely had students before that they shadowed them. It doesn't cost them much. You just stand there and learn from them. If you don't know anyone, just contact a local dentist. They usually are very flexible with this. So that's how you start your shadowing hours. For the requirements of dental school, you're required to do at least hundreds of hours of shadowing. And based on what I've learned is it is very common that those shadowings, most of those hours come from a general dentist, and schools prefer that. Because in a general dentist shadowing, you see a lot of different procedures and the reasons are obvious. You can definitely shadow a specialist, but it's better to at least shadow a general dentist first and then move to another dentist to shadow. And then eventually I'm going to talk about letters of recommendation, but it's better to get your letter from that general dentist you shadowed more. Shadow over a long period of time instead of just doing a lot of hours within the 2 months before your application. That doesn't look good. So if you're a freshman, you have plenty of time. If you're a sophomore, the benefit is you have time. You're not busy. You're not stressed about the application or DAT, so you have time to do that. And learn from every aspect. It's not definitely the clinical procedures you need to know a lot about. They are not expecting you to know how to do a tree canal, root canal, or how to do bridge, how to do implants. They don't care about those stuff because you're undergrad. It's good to know some stuff about it, but they mostly want you to learn about the clinical workflow. They want you to learn about patient-doctor interaction, the roles of assistant, even the insurance policies you can learn about some. So learn from everything you can during your shadowing hours. Second thing, which is part of the dental school, which I think holds a significant value, is letters of recommendation. Try to get letters from people who you know that can talk about your personality, not just about your academics. That is very important. That means that if you got a A in one course, you performed pretty well, but the instructor doesn't know you. The letter doesn't value much. It's not about saying he or she got a good grade. It's about your personality, how active you were, good questions you asked, anything about your personality. So keep that in mind. Ask well in advance. Don't try to ask them within 2-3 weeks of your due dates for that letter. Try to ask letters well in advance, even if it's years before. So let's say you are not taking a gap year and you're applying after the third year of your college. I'm going to explain all those schedules. But even if you're a freshman, that's like 3 years from there. That's okay. Just ask for the letter. It's pretty common for the instructor that they write the letter at that time because they know you the best, and they keep it on file for you. And then within 2 or 3 years, then you just email them and ask them to submit the letter with any instructions it requires. And make sure about sending reminder emails for the due dates. Give them a month or two earlier due dates so you make sure they submit. Because what I've learned from my instructors is they like to submit right before the due date. They wouldn't submit it way earlier, usually. to meet most of the requirements of the school, this is also unique about the schools. That some schools require 3 science professors, some schools require only 1 science professor, 1 dentist. So it varies, but you can't submit just one packet for the entire schools you apply to because it's a common application for all of those schools. So the way to cover most of the schools is you get 2 science letters from science instructors you had. It could be biochemistry, could be biology, or orgar or general chemistry. One from a dentist, preferably a general dentist, and the other fourth one is usually optional. It could be from your PI, it could be from your employer, or it could be from a non-science instructor. The third thing, which is probably the most flexible part of the application, is the extracurricular activities. It's where you basically record and report any experience you had. It doesn't have to be dental related. It could be a sport you play, it could be the instrument you play, it could be a club you joined, it could be anything. Anything after high school would count. So, but if it's a volunteer or community service, something which you interacted with people, patients, you help them, that's preferred. Unique activities or activities which shows leadership are very valued for dental schools. Another important thing, manual dexterity. Obviously, if you want to be a dentist, you need to work with your hands perfectly and precisely. And activities which shows that you improved your manual dexterity are highly valuable. Anything could count here as well, including pipetting, including any crafting, playing piano, playing any other instrument. If you're brave enough, I wasn't, but if you want to say I play Xbox a lot, I play with different stuff like Xbox as I mentioned, um, definitely needs some manual dexterity. I wasn't brave enough to mention that, but I think that also counts. So I just want to emphasize anything. Start these activities early because you have the most time within your freshman and sophomore year, first year and second year of your college. If you can't find any activities, your school definitely offers a lot. So just start with the school. Anything your schools offer and record all those details because trust me, when you want to apply after 3 years, like imagine you were doing stuff at your freshman year, after 3 years you want to record because part of the application is you recording every stuff, and then you can't remember about the name of your supervisor, how many hours you worked, what description you want to put in the application. So keep record of everything. I had a Word document where whenever I was doing something, I just recorded the important information about it and try to participate in one of those extracurricular activities. If it's either playing a sport, if it's joining a club or whatever that is, just keep doing that consistently. So you show consistency in one thing. Research. Part of application where usually students are like, I don't have any research. Is it important? How can I do research? It's my personal opinion, but I think research can help you definitely, but it's not required, particularly for dentistry. It might be for medicine, it might be for other pre-health tracks, but for dentistry, it's not required. But it's definitely if it definitely sets you apart. So optional but beneficial. Um, Starting doing research is harder than the other part of application. My suggestion is join a lab at your school. Try to contact in different PIs at your school. They're going to trust you more when you're a student at that school. Even if the lab is not a big lab or like reputable lab, that's okay. Start somewhere. Or some schools offer research courses which you receive credit, um, like a course credit for attending and working in a lab. Those two are good starts. And then after you build connections with different supervisors or PIs of the lab, you can ask them to refer you to other labs. A great thing which you can do for research is summer internships. It's more common in US. In Canada, it's harder to find opportunities like summer internships, but you still can. So there are many different institutes in the US, NIH, many different schools like University of Florida, UCLA, many other schools in California. Um, Sometimes your own undergrad school offer summer internships, which are usually paid, and some of them provide housing. It's pretty serious job. It's a full-time job for like starting from June to August for 2, 3 months. But keep in mind their application open around October and November, so you can't decide in March that you want to do a summer internship, at least in a good place, in 2 months. So you have to plan ahead. Um, Research with practical experience and dental related, I would say, in my opinion, is more valued. Let's move to DAT, probably the scariest part. Let me tell you this, it's not scary. So if after 2 years of your college and you were getting A's and B's in your courses, um, that means you were able to pass and ace your courses, which are definitely more complicated and challenging than DAT. The only challenging thing about the DAT is the massive amount of content. It's not being tricky or complicated. So it's a computer-based multiple choice exam, which consists of these subjects for the US DAT, for American DAT, and for Canadian DAT, it doesn't have the math section, and the number of questions are slightly different. It doesn't have organic chemistry as part of the survey of natural selection. Overall structure is similar, overall content is similar with slight differences are there. So the server of natural sciences would be biology, general chemistry, organic chemistry, perceptual ability. I would suggest you go and take a look at the questions. It's not something you were learned about. It's about how you can how your 3D dimensional skills are working properly. So that's a cool part of the AT, I would say. Reading comprehension and math as a final section. It's about 280 questions, and you can take the AT anytime, I would say, after you took biology in both chemistries, and that's it. If you took biology 1 and 2 at your college, if you took chemistry 1 and 2, organic chemistry 1 and 2, you're good to take this exam. So it doesn't have to be, I'm going to talk about the timeline of the AT, but you can take that after you took those courses. So, because DAT tips are a lot, I've done one webinar before, and there are different ways you can find it. If you just search this topic in Google, you probably should find it. We're gonna put the link for this in the recording and in the slides. So for DAT tips, I would definitely suggest and watch this YouTube, or the slides are a thing in the website. And now it's the time for application. So you gathered all those information, and then you have to submit your application. So the timeline for application would be either two possible scenarios. If you are taking a gap year, or if you're not. If you're not taking a gap year, you have to submit your application at the end of your third year. At the end of your junior year, when you finish the junior year in the summer around May or June, you have to start submitting your application. For US, it is very important to apply as early as possible. The application opens for you to put the information down in May, mid-May, and it opens for you to submit it at the beginning of the June. And it's very important because it's rolling. As soon as your application is verified and completed, dental schools will start looking at your application, reviewing it, and they might give you interviews even in summer. For Canada, the system is not rolling admissions. So as long as you submit before deadline, shouldn't have any differences. So if you submit in June or September, shouldn't make any difference. For US, it makes a lot of difference. So it's better to take your DAT before the application opens. It's better to have all your letter of recommendations ready. It's better to submit your transcript to the application. So once the application opens, you can submit everything and make your application complete so dental schools start looking at your application as early as possible. Make sure you report all the experiences in details. Every experience you had, you need to have the details of the supervisor, the location of that place, how frequent you were attending that program or experience, and some details and description of what you were doing. There are some supplementary applications for each school in particular. So you submit one common application for every school in Canada or US. Some Canadian schools have their own, but for US, every school, you submit one common application which has most of your information. And then after you submit that, like maybe a week or a month after, some schools will gonna send you their own application, which are some like paragraph-based questions. You need short answer question. You need to answer particular about those schools. Some don't. Some of these supplemental applications are selective. Some of them are not. They send that to every applicant. So it really depends. But again, for those, submit it as soon as possible. There is an important part of the application. It's personal statement. It's very important to show the challenges and unique stories you have and make it as unique as possible. Try avoiding cliches. If you want something that sets you apart, unique stories are important. Definitely avoid using any content about your academics like GPA or DAT because they are already seeing that. So that part is not the part where you should mention in personal statement. There are plenty of other parts in your application that they see your scores, they see your you got an A+ in organic chemistry, they see you got a great DAT score. That's not the part to mention there. Try to demonstrate your genuine interest in dentistry, and that's the place you are the most flexible. That's the place you can show them why you want to be a dentist. It's the same personal statement for every school. So don't mention I love University of Maryland School of Dentistry because then they're gonna reject you in any other schools and Maryland might not take you and then goodbye. So that's a statement that why you want to be a dentist, not why you want to attend one particular school. And then have it someone just have someone to read it for you and give you feedbacks on it. Then we had a question, I think, in the survey for this webinar that how to select schools to apply. This is to some extent matter of personal opinion and matter of personal preference. There's some criteria for it, but there is a wobble flexibility. So my suggestion is apply broadly. So the point is you get accepted in the cycle you apply to. It's not like trying something and applying the next year. The goal is to get accepted in that year. So apply broadly. 353 rule is you apply to 3 schools which are above your stats. Your ego schools, the schools you really wanted to go, but your stats are below their averages, your DAT and GPA. Because for other parts of the application, there is no way to it's very subjective. You can't say like my experiences are better than the other. I have more shadowing hours than the other, so I'm a better applicant. But for DAT and GPA, you probably can say that. So 3 of the schools, in my opinion, you can choose any schools you want to. 5 of them should be in the range of your stats, and 3 of them should be below. They say there is no safety school when you apply to dental school. I agree with that to some extent. But there are definitely schools with higher acceptances rate with big class sizes and schools which their average of DAT and GPA are way below your stat or at least below your stat. So those would be a good option. Make sure you meet those requirements. So any school or most of the school will mention what if they have any DAT cutoff. If they don't mention it, they usually don't have it. So they mention what are their letters of recommendation requirement. They want 2 science. At the time I applied, like Columbia required 3 science letters. So if you apply with 2, they're gonna automatically reject you. And the prereqs definitely are important. So make sure you follow those criteria, because otherwise you're gonna pay the application fee for that school and they're not gonna even read it because you don't meet those requirements. And trust me, you're not gonna meet every 80 school in US and 10 school in Canada. You can't fulfill every requirement. So that's okay. If you see a school where you can't fulfill a requirement, just move to another school. Just make sure the school you apply to, you follow those. For US applicant and I guess Canadian applicant, make sure about in-state and out-state ratio in province and out province in Canada. Some schools are highly selective about their residents and they just get like 5-10% of out-states. Those are probably not the great choices. And check their residency if you're an international student, if you're applying from abroad, for applying from Canada to US schools. Some schools do just accept American citizens or residents, so don't apply to those. That's a waste of time and money. So make sure you follow those residency policies. Factors to consider. This is where it comes a bit personal, but the factors I considered and the factors I think are important are the clinical experience, definitely, if you want to be a general dentist, if you want to do every procedure. Um, I think anyone who go to dental school care about how much they learn about the clinical stuff. So check the clinical rotations of that program, search for how good they are clinically. Definitely tuition is one important thing, particularly with the changes in the loans. And always the cheapest is the best among the schools you wanted to go. If you have three schools which they're similar in different aspects or kind of similar, then the cheapest is always the best one. The class size, if you care, some schools have a class size of as big as 300. Some schools like Harvard, they have class size of only 40 people. It depends which one you prefer. Possibility of getting a in-state status for American applicants or Canadian ones, I guess. Some schools offer you in-state after a year if you fulfill some requirements, some don't. So that's another factor. Location of that area, if you see yourself living there. The distance from family and the school reputation. The last one is tricky. Some people say it doesn't matter, some say it does. If you're applying to residency, it definitely matters to some extent, but this is another thing to consider. I mentioned the school you see yourself applying to, you see yourself going to. What I mean by that is if you get accepted in one school, but you don't attend it, like you get accepted, but then you say, okay, that wasn't really the school I wanted to, I reapply. Based on my understanding, it is a very big red flag and negative factor, and not any schools may not accept you next cycle. So if you don't accept it in one school, if you don't like attend that school, you got accepted. Doesn't matter even on that school. Any school you apply the year after, they're gonna see that as a big red flag. And I'm emphasizing not just that school, any other school, dental school will say, okay, they turned down one admission offer, and that doesn't look good. So apply to the schools where you see yourself attending. If you apply to 9 of them, you have to understand that you might have to attend any of them. And part of the decision is also definitely after the acceptances, because some schools offer you scholarships, and then that changes the dynamic of your decision. Fun part and stressful part, which I want to start from the bottom. It's about patience. It's interviews. For me, it was the hardest part because I was looking on Reddit, on Google, that okay, people are getting interviews with way lower stats than me, way lower. They applied even after me, and they got interviews. I didn't. That feels so bad. So it's all about patience. It's not about you getting interviews earlier, meaning definitely you're a better applicant. So try to be flexible and resilient in this part. The interviews could be, you could get the notification and get your actual interview anytime from July to April. That's for US applicants. The interview could be in person, could be online, it could be group, It could be an individual. A few schools in US do a group interview where you sit in a room with 5, 6 different applicants. I love this kind of interview because it's hard and it's really tricky how to manage answering the question. And there are two interviewers sitting there and asking questions, and you guys have to figure out between yourself who wants to answer first, who wants to answer in second, and how you manage that. So some schools that the group, most of them do individual. Some of them are open file, some of them are closed file. That means some of them do know about your application, your resume, your score, your background. They read your application before. Some never saw your application before, and that's the first time they know about you when you were at the interview. Some schools do MMI, meaning they just give you different scenarios, short scenarios. Most of them don't use MMI. You can Google that. That's pretty common for even some jobs. So look for that. Casper is another ethical base on exam where they evaluate how you manage yourself and handle a critical situation. It's part of it is typing stuff, part of it is recording. It really depends on the school how they want to format it, so it varies a lot. And only few schools in US wants Casper. So it's not required for every school. You can research what schools want Casper, what schools they don't want. Reaching the interview stage is a huge success. Usually that means that you are academically favorable. The stat is usually around 5 to 20% of the applicants get interviewed. So meaning you already passed 90% of the applicants. And this is a part about your personality. This is the part that you should show yourself, your personality, not academic-wise. They already accepted you academic-wise. And one thing I've heard from few interviewers that they are looking for red flags. So as long as you are doing okay, as long as you are just showing that you're a normal person, you can socialize, you can talk to other people. That's one major thing in dentistry. With patients, you should be able to talk to them. You should be able to socialize. You should be able to have those connections. As long as you have those, you're passing the interview. My tips for interview is there are 2 customized questions for every school, and the rest of the questions will be similar, so you can practice them for all schools. So what you learned about shadowing, what is this, your strength, what is your weaknesses, those are all the questions which you can practice similarly for any school and give the same answer. They're not going to report your answer and they say, okay, he gave us the same answer for 2 schools. No, there are 2 questions, particularly the first one, why our school? And second, tell me about yourself, which in my opinion, you should personalize it and customize it, sorry, as much as possible about that particular school. So why our school? You have to go research about that school and find what are those important aspects of that school you wanted. So you have to convince them that you really wanted to go to that school. And to tell me about yourself, kind of you can customize it. So mention stuff about yourself which relate to that school. Don't overdo this. Don't over exaggerate, but probably mention 1 or 2 points about it. So research the school in depth to be able to answer to those questions. Practice those common interview questions for every school. By practicing, I mean write an outline of the things you want to mention on a piece of paper and practice. Don't memorize. You have to sound natural, but at least do some writing and know what you want to say. So where you find the questions, Student Doctor Network, social media, and YouTube. Student Doctor Network have personalized questions of those schools. People who attended the interview, they mentioned what question they were asking. It's a great source for practicing questions. And I have seen questions, the exact same questions I've saw on Student Doctor Network in my interview. So it's pretty useful. The important things you need to have and follow during your interview is you smile, something like this. You definitely need to make eye contact with your interviewers. Um, Definitely try to be natural. I know you're stressed, they understand this, but try to be natural as much as possible and avoid long answers. These are my personal recommendations. Obviously, dress professionally, no matter what, if it's in person or online. And this is very important. And I've seen people losing this part a lot. Prepare thoughtful questions. Almost all the interviews I had, they asked me, do you have any questions at the end of my interviews? And it's not a cliche question. They really want you to ask them a question, one or two questions, which are thoughtful. Don't ask like what's your class size. Don't ask what's your average GPA. Don't ask if you have residencies in the schools. Don't ask questions where you can find them online easily. Ask particular questions which show that you care about their school and you really wanted to know. And something particularly from a faculty member, someone with an experience. So have one or two questions ready. The worst thing you can say is, I don't have any question. Thank you and have a good one. And last thing for interviews, it's suggested, it's not required, it's optional, but I would say you can send thank you emails to your interviewers after you are finished with the interview and mention one thing um, personalized about what you were talking. Overall, interviews I had was very chill. I can tell you one question one school asked me. So I attended York University for one semester. And so the person realized that I was in Canada. And the first question they asked was like, how was the weather in Canada? And that was part of the interview. So it could be as chill as this. And I think most schools will just want to understand, learn about you. So it's not anything stressful. It's not any complicated or tricky questions. Okay, so this is a scheme thanks to AI. I had to make some adjustments with. So this would be a general schedule you want to follow. And then I think after that, we're good for your questions. So prepare your questions. I'm ready to answer any questions you have. Don't ask me hard questions. I'm kidding. Ask me anything you want. Okay, so my suggestion is you can start research anytime after your first year, after you had 1 year of college. So if you have something in experience to when you want to apply and you have some sort of resume or GPA that they accept you based on that. So that's the time you have available. You can start your shadowing from year 2 or even year 1, but I would suggest start doing shadowing from year 2 all the way to your graduation. You're obviously taking the prereqs during year 1, during year 2, and during year 3. Because the point, again, we are applying in mid-May. We're applying in June, basically. We're submitting application in June, but we're filling the application in May. So around that time, at the end of year 3, and you want to take most or all of your prereqs by the end of your year 3. So your 4th year or senior year, you're just taking the upper level credits you wanted to, or electives, or anything else, or maybe 1 or 2 prereqs. You obviously can get letter of recommendation anytime during the 4 year, and your volunteering hours or extracurricular hours could happen anywhere in those 4 years. DAT, if you are not planning to take a gap year, the best case would be you take it in the summer between your 2nd year and 3rd year. That's kind of early, but trust me, that's the best timing because that allows you a entire summer to study so you're not busy with other courses, and that also allows you a room for retake. So it would be around August, so you would start studying for DAT around mid-May, I would say, until August of your end of your 2nd year to the start of your 3rd year. The other plan, if you don't want to take a gap year, is you take the DAT around May of the year you're applying. So May at the end of year 3. That would be the other plan. These two plans are in case you don't want to take a gap year. If you do want to take a gap year, you can shift this by 1 year. So let's say you want to take a gap year, you take DAT in the May or April or probably June of the year you're applying in the fourth year. So that would be because when you submit your application in May, you're actually applying a year earlier because the application process and cycles takes a year. So if you're applying in May 2026, you're applying actually to start dental school in September 2027. You're not applying to get into dental school for like September of the same year. That's how the cycle works. Um, I hope that was helpful to you guys. You can feel free to email me with any questions you have. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. I didn't see the chat, but I think Sarah can help me with that. If you feel free to open your mic, I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Amirparsa. It was super
Of course,
helpful to have everything in super clear steps. Thanks.
of course. Yes. I think there's one person raising hand. Is it
Yes,
Prince?
that's me.
Yes.
Yes, hi. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Great presentation by the way. I just wanted to ask, so I'm in my like this would be the summer of my transition between third to fourth year right
Mhm.
now. I am planning on taking my DAT in August, which I know it's very late for the US applications, but I still want to apply to US. Well, obviously I'm in Canada, so obviously my priority would be Canada just because of like tuitions and other stuff. But then I was wondering, you mentioned something. I just want to clarify. So if I don't have my prerequisites, all my prerequisites for different schools, like obviously each have their own, for example, I don't have my physics, and so many American schools require physics, but I'm planning on taking it in my fourth year.
Yep.
Would I not be able to apply?
So
How?
most, yeah. So most of the schools, if you have one or more, one or two, more than one or two in progress or plan, they're not gonna send you interviews. So you can have like five or four of the prereqs in progress or planned and expect an interview. So that's what I know.
So I mean, it's technically 2 semesters of physics, but it's only one like physics subject. Would that be
think
okay?
that would I think that if it's only physics and if you maybe show it in your application that I'm taking physics while the cycle is moving forward, then I think that still counts as two courses, but I think if that's the only prereqs you're not you don't have like at the time you apply, I think that's fine. You can definitely contact the schools and ask them this question, each school for sure, individually. But if it's more than that, based on what I know, you can't apply. I mean, you can apply, but they don't offer you interviews and acceptance, obviously.
Okay, good to know. And then sorry, one more question.
Right.
So I'm not sure what because I see it in most websites, and then when I search it up, it just says composition is basically English. But
Mhm.
in some websites, it mentions English and composition, which I'm kind of confused about. Are they
What
not the same thing?
what I've learned is as long as the course code is English, and any English fulfills the requirement for most of the schools. Some schools require writing in English, which I think most of the English courses fulfill that. But the most important thing is it's a English course. It's not a sociology course. It's not ESL course. As long as the course code is ENGL or ENG, that fulfills the English requirement or composition. That those are the same thing,
Okay, okay, good to know. Thank you.
of course. Any other questions? I was kidding. You can ask me hard questions. I think we're gonna stick around for a few more And that's Sarah. And then if
Yeah,
they
sure.
don't have any questions, we can.
Yeah, you can just feel free to open your mic and ask your question or add it in the chat.
I guess some of the people I see in the room right now have my personal phone number, and they're gonna text me if they had any questions. For the people who don't, you can ask me any questions you have.
Sorry, I'm gonna ask this to you. I promise this is my last question.
You're muted, Amirparsa.
Okay, let me use the time. There were two things I wanted to mention.
There was another question, Amirparsa.
Some schools where they don't require DAT. So for people who took DAT before, they were not satisfied with their grade, or if they didn't want to take DAT exam. There are a few schools in the US. I think one of them is High Point in North Carolina, if I'm not wrong. There's one, the other one called NewMed, I guess. Research, some of those schools do not require DAT exam, but it varies year by year. So if you're watching the recording of this, that might not be the case for you. But there are a few schools in the US where they don't need DAT. I'm not sure how that makes it easier or harder to apply. Probably make it more competitive among the people who don't have DAT, but just something to just keep in mind.
Thank you. Can you hear us, Amirparsa?
I can hear you.
So there was another question from the audience.
I didn't hear it. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I had another question. So I know this could really depend case on case and based on like different factors. But my question was, so imagine if I have filled out the applications and I wrote my DAT and I'm just waiting for the scores to come in to see if they are good enough based on like the school stats to press submit just because I have to pay to submit my applications, right?
Yeah.
So let's say my DAT scores are not as well as I anticipated.
Mhm.
Would you say they will be still decent but not as well? Would you
Mhm.
say it would be worth to apply and waste all that money, or just hold on and maybe try for the next cycle?
So if the only issue is money, I'll definitely suggest applying, because if you become a dentist a year earlier, you're gonna make a whole lot more money than
Mhm.
the application fee, if that's the only case. But the things which you have to keep in mind is rejections do have negative effects on the other year you applied. So if your scores are way below these stats of that school, then I don't suggest applying. But if your scores are within a range, within an acceptable range, I'll definitely suggest apply. And if you get accepted, my suggestion is to just attend that school. As long as that school is like accredited and you can get a license from it to work either in US or Canada, you become a dentist a year earlier, even though you're not in this your favorite school, or maybe the schools which is a bit more expensive, but I think that worth to apply,
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
of course.
Are there any other questions? Okay, I think you can also email Amirparsa if you have any other questions after the meeting. I just want to share again that we are building a community of students to help each other grow together. You can scan the QR code and join the community as well. And thank you so much for joining us today.